Hi everybody, what's going on? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is Eight of Pentacles. And Six of Swords. Hi. So funny. I was just like in the middle of sleeping. That's interesting. Maybe a message about that. So Eight of Pentacles just in itself is connected with the work that you've been doing, the mastery, even this Eight of Pentacles. It shows a spider and a spider web. Spiders are connected with the mother. It is connected with creativity, all of those things. And so it's kind of like, look at this work that I've put in to do this, to paint this picture. And the Eight of Pentacles in this deck does feel in a way like a completion to me. You want to come sit with me? It feels in a way like a completion to me. And so having this energy be here, this kind of feels like, it kind of feels like everything that you put into this process, you can now maybe look at and say, wow, look, the painting is complete, or something that I did, I can now see the results of that. Or I can, like, it doesn't just have to be something where there's like a visible picture. This can be more so like I see the results of the skills that I've gained, or I see like an investment that was worth it to me to do, and like the hard work that needed to be put into it. And then having that Six of Swords can be that now that you have done something, it feels like now that you've completed the picture, or now that you've completed something that needed to be completed, or you've accomplished something, that now it can just be like that. Like maybe you don't have to do anything to it now. Maybe it can just be that way, and something has been accomplished, and now things sort of move forward from there. Like work maybe doesn't need to be put into that anymore, or not in the way that it was before, at least. I do feel like this is connected with what you have built and things getting easier now, like seeing that picture. I am also seeing Ace of Swords, so you can feel like things are becoming clear, things are coming into focus. This can feel like you're sort of breaking through onto the other side as well when we have that. So I wonder too if like whatever was being asked of you in order to do it, like let's say that you're like, this metaphor is that you've been painting a picture, and maybe it's like you're trying to concentrate and there's loud noise, or like you're trying to get fresh air, but then the wind like blows the canvas off of the thing. It just feels like all of the stuff that's been involved in, and I think like the chaos of what's been involved in what you've been doing, like maybe the unpredictability of it, or the need to be flexible too, because this doesn't feel like it's just specifically connected with the work that you've been doing or the investing that you've been doing. It feels like everything that's gone into it, even the extra stuff, like the preparation for things, or the figuring things out, or the problem solving, the stuff that isn't just specifically like brush to paint to canvas. This feels like that, and also everything all in between. And having us have Six of Swords here shows that there have been challenges, there have been difficulties, there have been ups and downs, there maybe was chaos. It speaks about things that you sort of have to be on and present and ready and willing to deal with those things. And now that we have the Six of Swords, it feels like there's a getting to a place of understanding and moving forward with things, and also too that things are kind of settling down. Like Six of Swords is a card of moving to feeling like you have peace of mind, when maybe that wasn't what was going on before, just because of having to deal with everything. Maybe it just didn't feel particularly settled. How are we gonna do this? Thank you for your time, O. I'm seeing Six of Cups come out next. Roots, broken roots. Something that was pulled apart. This also feels like a reconciling that's happening here, but stuff is still being worked out. The work that you do allows you to move forward. Having Six of Cups and having Five of Swords, there can still be stuff connected with the past that you're putting together, that you're making sense of, that you are resolving. Fine-tuning. Expectations versus reality. And I mean, having Six of Wands after the Hanged Man, it feels like a new understanding has been achieved. Like a new perspective has been gained, that change has happened, that transformation has taken place. Because I feel kind of like having this Six of Wands shows you coming out on the other side of some type of Neptunian process here, and I'm getting confirmation of this. When Neptune is involved, it's going to be a truth versus everything else type of scenario. Everything else being anything that you would want above the truth, distorting perspective, perception, understanding. What we deem as being the reality. I also feel like this is making peace with some things too that could have felt very disruptive initially and carried that energy on until this time of resolving. Seeing Death card too, I see this as being the getting to the point where something can really be finalized, where something can really come to an end because we are ready for the next energy. So things being over and done with because we don't need to work with that anymore. Ace of Swords. Emotional clarity. Whatever these things are that have been sticking with you, whatever these hang-ups are that are connected with stuff that hasn't fully been worked out or worked through, connected with the past, so it will be stuff that you feel like still lingers with you. I feel like there's a breakthrough that's associated with this that's happening here. Like there's a new, deeper understanding of things, or you can say a higher understanding of things. The way that I'm seeing the energy with the Hanged Man here feels like this is being accomplished because we have that Six of Wands coming out on the other side of it. It feels like this thing has been done. It's been figured out. It's been achieved, essentially. And on a level of what you're feeling and what you're understanding and what you're seeing, it feels like this is where now there is that clarity. Because when we have the Ace of Swords, it's that you're seeing everything for what it is. And I think maybe seeing where that had been different than what you were projecting. Because the way that I'm seeing this Five of Swords kind of feels like the difference between what was actually going on and how things like really were and the reality of situations versus maybe like how you wanted things to be, and then this stuff being reconciled. How you wanted things to be, how you wished that things were. It was like everything that didn't allow for accepting of it to be what it was. And those things are now, it feels like a mirror being held up to each of these things, getting a closer look at it, and then having this breakthrough, which feels like it allows this stuff to be resolved because of actually seeing clearly. Because it's no more the I'm going to see what I want to see, but then not seeing what's actually in front of me. There's something else that's happening here now. Something like this only happens when you are ready for the truth. When you are not ready for the truth, Neptune can play its little games and we are like none the wiser for it. But when you don't want to play that game with Neptune anymore, where you're like, fine, like I've had it, I want the truth more than anything, that is when you see it. And so this feels like maybe having to get down to that point of things being broken down so much that you were like feeling, it feels like a surrender of sorts from this. And being like, let me just see how it is then. Like, push my preferences aside, push my agenda aside, push my expectations aside. Let me see what this actually is. And now there's the ability to truly see. And that is what comes with this. That is what comes with wanting the truth. And so within this, there is also healing that's happening. There's also conflict that is being resolved. I also feel too like this is a, like I'm not going to lie to myself anymore as well, but we can do, with Neptune, it can be unconscious. We can not really be aware of it happening, and then you get to the point where the rug gets pulled out from underneath you and you're like, I remember this and that, and I really wasn't listening to my intuition because there were signs. This feels like getting to a point where like you don't have to go through that type of phase again, where you're just like really seeing what's going on, that you don't have to go through something like that again because of this being in a place of truth and honesty with yourself. And that is how the breakthrough happens. I feel too like there can be stuff that you were holding on to that you felt a type of way about, but only because of being like, this should be happening like this. You know, we can feel like this person should have done it like that. Meanwhile, it was like the character was there the whole time. You know, when you're paying attention, you can understand the patterns and like how somebody operates at that point in time. It can be stuff like that that's you're coming to a place of understanding. Like maybe what you wanted or what you were expecting, but wasn't based in the reality of the situation and sort of those behavior patterns, and now getting to a point where you're like, I'm understanding and I'm seeing that. I'm seeing where that split happened. Because I think if you're being real with yourself the whole time, if you're being honest with yourself the whole time, you're not going to be very surprised because you've been seeing what's been going on the whole time. But when we don't want to see that, that's when Neptune will be like, okay, that's fine, let's swap it out for something else. And then you get to the point where like Neptune can't really hold the weight of it anymore and it all spills out and you see the truth, and it can be a very harsh reality in that moment. So this feels like working with that, like any type of self-deception and coming out on the other side of it. Because this Six of Wands really does feel like that, like all this work that you put in has been for this. Like now you really do come out on the other side of it, and now you really do see things clearly. And that's what it's all been for. And now the past can be reconciled. Breakthrough with the conflict. Coming into a place of joy. I think also too, seeing things that have happened as recognizing that those things maybe weren't in alignment with what was resonating with you, but not wanting to maybe discard the situation, staying within that. And the only way to sort of stay within that may have been to not be totally honest with yourself about what was going on. About how you felt. Because this is like anything that's going to be getting in the way. The stories that we tell ourselves about the people that we connect with and those storylines and what they mean and then what they actually mean. So part of the conflict that's worked out, it has to do with your pursuit of happiness. And I think what frame of mind was getting in the way of you moving in that direction. Because of, I imagine like not wanting to admit certain things because of not feeling like ready to accept it at the time. But then being like, do I want to keep doing this, or do I want to actually feel a sense of fulfillment? Do I want to actually feel like satisfied with things or happy with how things are? And that really being that moment where you're like, nope, give me the truth. I'm willing to see it. And it allows you to come back home to yourself. And it feels too like now something is getting started that really does feel like it truly aligns. And that all of this has been adding up to that being possible now. Sort of you've gained those skills, that skill set that you need. And now when you're in a place of reconciliation with yourself, that also means that the connections that you make will also be aligned too. Because you can't self-abandon and then have a connection and gonna feel like it's the Two of Cups. Something else is gonna be at play there. So it's not gonna feel like that pure sense of connection where it's just about the relationship and growing and stability and fostering that. It's gonna be about other things. It's gonna be about boundaries. It's gonna be about honesty. It's gonna be about, are you abandoning yourself? Codependency, things of that nature can come up. Minimizing what you want, minimizing what you need. Doing things that aren't in alignment with your core values. I think more so from being in a place of sometimes not being familiar with what they are, and then other times not wanting to accept that the situation is not compatible or what's going on. Because given where you are now, it feels like there are sort of like different options as far as paths in front of you. Like you have a couple different things that you could do, and you're like, do I want to go here? Do I want to go there? Do I want to start this? Can be like, do I want to start something with this person? Am I maybe thinking about that person over there? Like whatever this is that is connected with the Wands energy, like whatever you feel this like passion stirring up within you because you want to do something here. It feels like having to figure that out and making sure that if you're choosing something, it's based off of the truth, not just something that you would project. Because that's the thing with Neptune as well, is that it can have us looking at something and like projecting what we want onto it. And then getting confused, like maybe this is what I want, and then in reality it's not really that situation. It's like your imagination versus the reality of the situation. Not every situation is going to be like that too. It's just when Neptune is involved, things like that can happen. And why I'm talking about Neptune is because we have the Hanged Man here, and it is the only major arcana that we have here. And Hanged Man is connected with the energy of Neptune. And Neptune, sure, is that energy of higher love because it's seen as being the higher octave of Venus, which is about our relationships and our values. simultaneously, because it's like that much in that direction, it can also be that much in discord and disconnection in the opposite direction as well. Like the more powerful, the more potent an energy is, the more like polarity it's going to be able to range as well. And so because Neptune can be perceived, at least in Western astrology anyway, as being an intense and powerful energy, especially when you have something going on with personal placements being involved, it really can take a toll, depending on where you are with things. So if there is really not that compassion and love, because Hanged Man connected with Two of Cups is ultimately going to come down to your relationship with yourself. Is there love within that relationship? Is there validation within that relationship? Is there compassion within that relationship? Is there devotion within that relationship? Like, what does that relationship look like? And that is going to be reflective of the relationships that you have with others. And so now it feels like you've gotten to a place where certain things that have needed to be addressed have been addressed. And so it feels like now that you feel connected and whole and at home with yourself, the things that you start from here on out are going to be reflective of that. They are going to mirror that for you. And that is what this has been all about, getting to that point. It feels like before wanting this, but maybe not being in that place yet. But now that you're in this place, it can be a very different story than what you had been experiencing before. Something else that's sticking out to me, having Five of Swords above Ten of Cups feels like when there's stuff that hasn't totally been worked out yet about our understandings of things, that we can think certain things are going to feel fulfilling and feel happy, and then the reality of that is not going to be that. Because Five of Swords shows a disconnect. And so coming from the framework of that disconnect, saying, I think this thing is going to make me happy, you then get in that situation and say, oh, I see where there was an error in the formula that I was using because something hadn't been worked out yet, something wasn't cleared yet, something was not consolidated, something was not merged. It's going to be that type of thing. And so you'll find yourself in more situations that will mirror that thing where something hasn't been totally worked out. So then the relationships that you're in, it's going to encourage you to see exactly what that thing is that hasn't been reconciled, that thing that hasn't been mended. Things moving forward, stuff being worked out, seeking truth, and you get the truth, you get the answers. I feel too like this is a reconciliation on a mental level. When I say mental, I mean more so from a place of consciousness and awareness. Because this is helping you make sense of what direction to actually go in. If you know that there's something that you want to be experiencing, and there are multiple paths laid out in front of you, one of those is going to be the one where you'll actually get to experience what you're looking for. It's about figuring out how to let the other ones that are not that fall away through this process. So then just like the last true main path is the one that's standing. The last one standing, and that is the way then. So when there are all those other things popping up, it doesn't mean that there are really, I don't see it anyway, as there being all of these million billion options there. It's just needing to figure out what's blocking you from seeing that true option and that true path. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.